Hey guys, I'm hanging out in Vegas again for this week's episode of the Miles to Go podcast. Mr. Kerr and I start off with our thoughts on 9/11. Turning to happier news, I did take a quick spin through DorkFest this weekend, more on that. There's a new credit card from Citibank. Mr. Kerr and I have slightly differing opinions on whether or not it should be in your wallet. Hilton has chosen to raise the price of awards again, and it's kind of painful. We're talking about a property that's also leaving Hyatt, and if you can believe it, my Capital One credit card saga is still going on. All that on this week's episode. Hey guys, welcome back to the Miles to Go podcast. Shockingly enough, Mr. Kerr, I am back in Vegas. How are you doing?
I'm shockingly, I'm back in New York City.
I am happy for you. That means
it's
no
almost
airplanes.
like we've permanently moved to our cities over the last few months is what it feels like.
Somebody did ask me if I had enough days in 2025 to claim Nevada residency and get rid of state income tax. I think the answer is no, but I have not kept track.
I did stay in Georgia 183 days this year, so that I did not start paying New York taxes for 2025. Next year, however, is a whole different ball of wax next year. We'll figure that out.
It is indeed. Yes. I'm glad you timed it just perfectly. 183 days. Look at you. You're a smart man. You're a smart man, Mr. Kerr. Well, we got a handful of topics to cover today before the weekend is over. But in planning for last week, I did miss one thing that should have been on our radar for last week, but is still worthy to talk about today, which is the anniversary of 9/11. The first you've lived in New York for it. You know, it's a day that I always wake up emotional. This year, I actually fell asleep just sort of struggling with the fact of like how long it's been and like the people that just don't really understand the magnitude of it because they didn't live through it. But I won't say pleased is the right word, but it was certainly comforting to see that there were so many people that came out to the memorial in New York City on the video that you showed to pay their respects to the folks that lost their lives 24 years ago.
Yeah, we took, we don't live far from Ground Zero, so we've been down there a few times already, but Emily and I were texting the morning of September 11th, and I had a long work day, and then I had a work dinner, and she was like, hey, what time are you going to be done? I want to take, we talked previously about taking the kids down there, and I was like, wait for me, I'll cut off. I'll turn dinner just into drinks, and then I'll meet y'all down there. And it was really something, man, to be standing there with so many people around and so many flowers, and I never really learned about the survivor tree before, but went and checked that out, which if you don't know is a pear tree that they found in the rubble that was burned. They moved it, I think, to Brooklyn for 10 years, nurtured it, brought it back to life, and now they planted it back in Ground Zero as to honor the people who did survive. Saw a lot of tears down there, saw a lot of people in uniform that were having, it was something. And I'm really glad that we were able to take Thomas and Mary down there. And then they turned the 2 spire lights on down at the end of Manhattan Island. And that's, again, not far. It's really a really neat thing to see and to be able to talk about with the kids. So one of the reasons I moved to New York is to, expose the kids to things like this.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, your kids are same as my kids. Like they weren't born when it happened. It's something they read about in books. And the best way I can liken it to it, and I don't mean to diminish Pearl Harbor in any way, shape, or form when I refer to it that way, but I think 9/11 to our kids is probably the most similar thing I can think of in terms of how I think about Pearl Harbor, something that I know was tragic and left a mark on so many people that day, but I only read about it in books. So to understand living through it is really just told to me through the voice of others.
Thomas brought it up at school. We actually wrote an email to his teacher just to check in on, how's the kids' first week and a half of not being homeschooled. And she's like, it was interesting on September 11th. He brought it up and asked if we were going to talk about it in class. And since we took Thomas a couple years ago to the 9/11 museum at Ground Zero, which if you haven't been to, is just fantastic museum to go and see. He's just been really interested in it. And he's read a few books, age appropriate books for him. Yeah. And the teachers thought that it was impressive that he brought it up and asked if they were going to cover it in school because he's learned so much about it. So I think it made an impression upon him being down there. And then the teachers, maybe I don't make anything of this, but she said, we don't devote any classroom time to that anymore because all of the kids who were directly affected by it have now graduated from the school. And I was like, interesting being in New York City that you don't bring it up at all.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Didn't know.
Not what I would expect. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, maybe one way or another you guys bring it up. But many more things to come. I actually saw last night on Instagram that they brought back spend a night in the Natural History Museum up in Central Park. You can do that.
You can do that down here in DC periodically.
So all kinds of cool stuff for the kids to be exposed to.
Yeah, I haven't been to that museum. I do want to go at some point. I would also recommend the Flight 93 Memorial / Museum in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, as another great exhibit of of the history of that flight and then recognition of all the flights that were affected that day. Well, on to slightly happier topics, Mr. Kerr. I, for the first time ever, actually made it to DorkFest. For those that don't know, Brett Snyder has been a guest on the show a couple of times here, who we've threatened to have back on a couple of times, just haven't worked out schedule-wise in the last couple of months. He of Cranky Flyer fame has been planning this event for as long as I can recall, and it's gotten to the point. Take a step back. It's on the flight path for LAX Airport. There's an In-N-Out Burger on Sepulveda Boulevard, which is not that far from LAX, and there's a open grassy area where you can hang out and watch the planes fly overhead. I've taken my kids there a couple times when we were at LAX. And Brett organizes this event every year for aviation geeks to hunt for planes, and the airlines have really gotten into it, and they fly in a lot of their special liveries or paint jobs for this day. And so you can see some really unique, plane types that you might not necessarily see. Saw a lot of the Southwest state collection liveries, which was fun. Had a little bit of a left-hand turn in that the runway that goes where the flight path that goes over the In-N-Out Burger was actually closed that morning for maintenance. So we didn't get the planes as close as we would have liked, but it was a fun first time of the event. And I would say, at least for you, Mr. Kerr, one of the highlights I would say occurred just before the event. For future reference, the 7-Eleven located just across the street from In-N-Out Burger on Sepulveda carries glass Topo Chico bottles.
Oh, nice.
Very nice.
Very nice. Yeah, I would drink that because In-N-Out Burger is it's objectively terrible. Like, it's not good. So I would happily go across the street and get a Topo Chico instead. And to everybody who thinks it is good, I'm sorry if you're just wrong. But great thing about America is everybody's entitled to their wrong opinion. And all of you who think those fries are edible, you just have the wrong opinion. It's not good, man. It's not good.
Well, I am in the burger business, as you know.
Yeah, Five Guys is way better than In-N-Out.
I did not stop by for food at In-N-Out. I will say, I agree with you. The fries are, man, it's like there's no real nice way to explain how bad they are. I actually think their burger is, in my opinion, the best fast food burger. So McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's.
So?
I would take In-N-Out over McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's in terms of like their entry-level burger. I'll be honest, I haven't eaten any like the gourmet burgers that McDonald's or Burger King offers in a very long time.
Do they offer gourmet burgers?
Well, like they had like the Angus burger at one point, and they've rolled through a bunch of those different sorts of menu things that I just have never sampled. But I mean, I do like a double, but yeah, fry world, not worth it.
How many, I follow DorkFest on social media for many years. Have never made it out myself. How many folks are out there?
I mean, I would say there were easily a couple hundred.
Oh, really?
Brett said there were 600 RSVPs. It's a little hard to judge with the crowd because it's a spread out area. Have you been to the area by the In-N-Out Burger?
I never have. I've never been to this In-N-Out Burger that everybody's talked about for
15
years.
Well, we got to go. We can create our own DorkFest.
But I mean, you have that ourselves every day we talk.
Pretty much, yeah. It's a pretty big, wide open space there. And so, I mean, it probably wasn't 500 people, but I mean, it was every bit of 200, probably between 300 and 400. They might have some sort of a rough count based on how many people, picked up swag. I would say like the couple of airline executives I saw that had swag, the event started at 11, swag was gone by 12. So, I mean, that definitely exceeded whatever their expectations were. And there were some, fairly high level folks there. There was one guy who I didn't quite recognize at first, and then Seth Miller, who's been on the show, Wandering Airman, reminded me of where I've seen him before. It was Andrew McCutcheon, who I might get the title wrong, but he's a chief commercial officer of Southwest or something like that. But like there were a handful of executives, the head of LAWA, the Los Angeles, I forget what that stands for, Los Angeles World Airport Authority. Anyway, a number of airline executives, airport executives. There was a ramp tour earlier in the day, which, unbeknownst to me, I completely missed that one. So I was working in my hotel, and I was like, wait, people were walking around and looking under airplanes? So I definitely did not get all the festivities, but definitely enjoyed it. And honestly, just sort of dumb luck. I had a meeting Friday in Vegas, and so it was easy to pop over to LA. It's just hard, as you can imagine, to commit a weekend with young kids and say, I'm going to go away and do an aviation geek thing and be gone for the weekend, which to fly from the East Coast to LA, I mean, you're essentially giving up your weekend.
Yeah, for sure. You said Andrew McCutcheon. I was like, oh, the Pittsburgh Pirates all-star baseball player? No, not the house. Like,
yeah, not that one. Not
that
that
one.
one.
Okay.
And I might have the name wrong because maybe I was across the road. But it's Andrew something who's the chief commercial officer at Southwest. And he was giving out Southwest swag. There's an Instagram picture of Seth with some very, very swanky Southwest sunglasses on that we did our little selfie in. Also met up with the Points Goblin from our Slack community.
Shout out to the Points Goblin.
We'll talk a little bit more about him in a minute. But yeah, I mean, best name in the Slack community for sure. A little bit of housekeeping for folks. You can text us or leave us a voicemail, 571-293-6659. Email editpizzainmotion.com. He is at Kerr Points on all the social media channels. I am at Pizza in Motion. And Mr. Kerr, just to prove that the text line works, we did get a text this past week from a fellow Rivian owner down in Alabama. I would note that I did get a handful of people that wrote in about the EV charging situation. No real negative ones. We didn't get anybody coming out of the woodwork telling us we're crazy, so that's good. He or she says, Alabama Rivian owner, cry me a river about your charging desert. They live in Alabama. I've had mine for 2.5 years. The charging network has tripled in that time. Wow.
From 1 to 3.
Yeah. We drive cross-country to Utah, up to Ohio, and down to Florida multiple times each year, so it's doable. Rivian sent us our Tesla adapter for free, so check into that. I did. Sadly, that program ended at the beginning of the year. Otherwise, invest in adapters or cords, like we have one to use at RV park areas, and I'm still a little scarred from the RV parks. Do not rely on Rivian's nav for either directions or EV charge access. Yes, I have already figured this out. PlugShare, the app I mentioned last week, is way more reliable. Always check the most recent comments for broken or underperforming chargers. And I think this is like the underlying moment of like broken and underperforming chargers is pretty much the industry standard right now. And they say, love what you're doing for the planet and for your children's future. So there you have it. Thanks for texting in from the 256 area code.
Solidify as an EV is nowhere on my... Well, no car is on my near-term plan because love not driving and having a car here in New York. Let me tell you, it's fantastic.
You love paying the same thing for a car payment as you do for a parking spot? Yeah.
Oh, it would be more than that. I out of sheer curiosity, I looked at the closest garages to us that had space for monthly parking. You want to take a guess here in Manhattan, monthly parking?
In that area of Manhattan? Monthly parking. 2,500.
No, it's not quite that bad. They had starting at $947. Now, I don't know what's
$1,000 a month to park a car.
I don't know what starting at means. As I imagine, if you have any kind of SUV or not a smart car, it'll be more than that.
Starting as you have to be in by 10 a.m. and out by 3 p.m.
Something like that. Yeah. It's funny because you'll walk by these parking garages, and say daily special $12.97, and then literally in tiny print it says per 30 minutes. And you're like, oh, wow, that's tough.
Yeah. Since we mentioned Points Goblin, I'll also note a couple of new Slack members this week. Frank and Josh both signed up. You'll find a link in the show notes if you guys want to join us. Costs a few bucks a month to support the community. We've got a couple of meetups coming up. We've got a Disney meetup and a Vegas meetup coming up over the next handful of weeks, one of which I'll see Mr. Kerr at. The other one, I don't think you're coming to Vegas. I think you had your Vegas trip for the year. But plenty of channels there for you guys to ask questions to be answered by travel experts like Mr. Kerr and myself. And a brief sighting by Julian during happy hour this past week where he actually, first ever on the Slack happy hours, Julian actually jumped in from the green room of network television right before he hopped on TV. So
I think it was KBV5, the largest station out in Omaha, Nebraska. Julian was doing some press there for it.
I'm not going to look that up. I'm going to assume that you're right. And if you're not right, it's a great
He was
point.
in LA, but I just need to give him a rib that I was like, wow, man, you flew all the way out to Omaha to talk about PointsBet. That's nice of you.
Oh man. All right. So on our list of topics, we got the Citi Strata Card, we got Vegas dynamic pricing, Hilton, and Thompson. So where do you want to go next, man? What do you want to talk about next?
We got to talk about the Citi Strata Card. Since the introduction of American Airlines as a one-to-one transfer partner for cardholders, certainly caught my eye. Now, again, I think this is one of these cards where you get it for year one. You take advantage of that welcome offer and the credits, and it looks like some of the credits are per calendar year, if I'm reading this right. You might be able to get them 100%. Twice for paying the annual fee once. Then you never put another dollar on it, and you go look around and see what else is out there. But pretty impressive list of benefits, man. You want to go through this? I got the homepage pulled up here, or you want to give the highlights? How you want to do it?
If you want to do it, that's great. I also have it up too. So you pick, Mr. Kerr. You tell me whether you want me to cover it or you want to cover it.
I will go through the spending foundation, and then you go through the credits, or what you definitely have to have as a spreadsheet to track. So the Citi Strata Elite Card. Right now, the public offer I see is earn 80,000 bonus points after spending $4,000 in the first 3 months, a $595 annual fee, and you earn 12x points per dollar spent on hotels, rental cars, and attractions booked directly on citytravel.com. 6x points per dollar on air travel booked through citytravel.com. That is because of the large disparity in commissions that airlines pay versus hotels and car rentals and attractions. 6x points per dollar spent on restaurants on Citi nights purchases Friday and Saturday from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Good luck. I've heard that's not been very well done or executed. That's pretty tough there. 3x points per dollar spent on restaurants any other time, and 1.5x points per dollar on all other purchases. Now, before you go through the credits, here's my overall thoughts. 1.5x on everything. That's 1.5x American miles. Strong there for
if you can use them on American, yeah,
if you can use it on American. Now for $595, a little tough because we can get 1.5x for no annual fee on the Freedom Unlimiteds of the world. The other one's not really interested in the spend categories, and I'll be honest, I'm not looking at my watch between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays to get 6x instead of 3x. I'm sure a lot of people are. But how about all those other credits and benefits that they got listed here that they say unlock $1,500 in value?
Yeah, and for what's worth, the one thing I would just say on the earn side is that, if you're not going to use them for American, they do have a pretty broad network of transfer partners. I just wouldn't say there's nothing here that's unique, put it that way. Like other than American, you should be able to get all these somewhere else. So that should be one of those things that like if you're thinking about this card, it's because you really want to earn American miles, in my opinion. But on the benefit side, you get a $300 annual hotel credit on a stay of 2 nights or more that's booked through citytravel.com. And this is the one that you referred to where this is calendar based. So in theory, if you sign up now, you could get it in 2025 and redeem it. And then you could get again in early 2026 before your annual fee comes up. And in theory, if you weren't paying an inflated price for the hotel, you'd get $600 in credit towards your annual fee. I would say I don't have any experience with the Citi Travel booking hotels. I'd say on the Cap One travel portal, I've had a reasonable number of times where the rate was a little bit higher. So, I'd probably put this at like 90 cents on the dollar for the $300 annual credit, but I don't know that I would say 100 cents on the dollar just based on it could be a little troublesome to get, the same, best available rate booking through Citi Travel. A $200 annual splurge credit, which, you can use it on American Airlines, which I think is the easiest way to get the best value. You can use it at places like Best Buy and Live Nation and stuff like that. So if you're into other things, I think there's enough things here that somebody should be able to take advantage of this, whether it's for travel or for like electronics or something like that. $200 annual Black Lane credit. Black Lane is sort of like what Uber Black was supposed to be a billion years ago. It's effectively like a chauffeured black car. I don't know how widely available this is in the country.
Pretty decent.
I wouldn't put a ton of value in it for me personally. Also comes with 4 Admirals Club passes per year. We get a global entry TSA pre-check, and you get a Priority Pass Select membership, which when we're done talking about this, I want to talk about Cap One and Priority Pass Select memberships as well, because it's been an interesting week there. But those are the credits, and to your point, at least in the first year, if you can hit that hotel credit twice, you're going to come pretty close to breaking even on the card with that, and then you obviously have the sign-up bonus and any other bonuses you earn along the way.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep up with. Again, the Black Lane is split into $100 once every 6 months, that kind of stuff. Interesting that you can get the Citi Executive Club card and get unlimited Admirals Club access, including for 3 guests still, I believe, for this same annual fee. So if you're looking for lounge access, I don't think this card's the way to go. But there's a lot of value there for the first year on top of 80,000. I think was there up to 100,000 on this at some point? I got to go back and look at it, but
yeah, I don't remember. The 80,000 is the one that I recall. So
certainly an intriguing card. I think with these credits, check it out for the first year, and I would not pay that annual fee again if it were me. But it's Citi, I think, has certainly paid the piper in order to get Barclays out of that American Airlines relationship.
Yeah.
And there have been some pretty big numbers thrown around in the industry for what they had to guarantee to get this deal done with the airline. So it's really good to see American have a transfer partner. And again, if you're after those American miles, then it makes sense for year one in my mind. And then apparently getting approved for this relatively easy as far as these go.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Is what a few folks have said. So if you got the credit score and you don't have 15 new cards opened in the last month, it appears that Citi will approve you.
I like how you real subtly threw in there, numbers being thrown around in the industry of what Citi paid. I like that. That was cool. It was very smooth. Very smooth.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just based on where I am in my life right now. I think there's, well, okay, setting aside the fact that Chase and Capital One are doing everything they can not to have me use their credit cards to spend on, I think it's unlikely that I get this card. I'm not saying people shouldn't. I am pretty much past the point where I sign up for cards just for, the sign-up bonus and know that I'm going to get rid of them in the first year. I feel like there should be at least some proposition as to why I would think about keeping it at past that first year, or some incredible sign-up bonus, like that 300,000 membership reward sign-up bonus that you got for was that the BizPlat or the Plat?
BizPlat still chugging away on that big big threshold there. Yeah.
So something like that. But not that 80,000 Advantage miles isn't a lot. I just, I'm probably not going to be great about getting 2 hotel credits booked. I don't pay for a lot of hotel stays. I tend to use hotel points for them, or I erase them with Capital One miles. So I think, for me, this card probably isn't a great fit. To your point, I think it could be interesting for folks to get into in the first year. If you want to earn Advantage miles, I think that the bonus categories, if you can get a decent amount of spend in the bonus categories, it's a pretty rich card for earning Advantage miles on an ongoing basis as compared to the bonus categories that American has on their own cards. So that's the potential strategy I could see as to why it might make sense to continue to hold the card.
So good luck to all of you out there hitting into the Citi Strata. The Citi Strata atmosphere, yeah.
And it was Strata and Atmos. Nice. Well played. Well played, Mr. Kerr.
Those programs don't talk, but there you go. Still 2 atmosphere references.
So quick on Capital One. I thought it was interesting. And I guess I've never really thought about Priority Pass memberships quite in this way, but did you hear that Capital One sent out an email? Essentially, they're going to cancel everyone's Priority Pass membership, and you're going to have to re-sign up for it in October, regardless of your expiration date?
Yeah, and I think it's still the stripped-down version where there's no restaurants or anything that are included in that.
It is a stripped-down version, but what I thought was interesting is, I assume that Priority Pass charges some sort of annual fee per member to somebody like Capital One. Like, I assume it's not just an enterprise rate with an unlimited number of signups. I would assume there are tiers in that contract. And so it's actually, from a business standpoint, kind of smart to make people re-up. Now, there's friction there, obviously, and you want to have friction with a premium credit card. But I don't think it's a big deal to ask somebody to go through a process to re-up on an annual basis for something like a Priority Pass membership. I do think it's kind of bush league to say, we know your membership expires next February, but we're canceling it now because I have plenty of people who probably have that card in their wallet who won't see that email. We're going to walk into a Priority Pass lounge and be upset.
Having the experience with some big banks now, I would not be surprised if this was perhaps a bit of an unclear typo when this notice was sent out. That has been known to happen from time to time, because that was the part I did find interesting, is for all the folks in for a bit of a surprise that their Priority Pass has been canceled and they're going to show up to a lounge asking like what's going on, and that's not going to be very good. So maybe there will be some kind of other notification in-app pop-up or something like that they have there if it was not a mistake that the way this was typed up.
Yep. No, I would agree with that. And then the other thing I would just say, just because it's so fun to keep talking about it on a weekly basis, for those that have been following along with my Capital One adventure.
Sure. Adventure.
I think it started August 4th, and so we're recording on Sunday, September 14th, so a mere 40 days later, and I still do not have access to any of my Capital One accounts. I escalated, and I think the last time I ended up tweeting, this is, I think, in between episodes, and they said 1 to 7 business days to get back to me. They called me a couple days later, and I missed the call, and then they called again on Friday. I tried calling, and they're like, no, you have to wait for the call. Great. So waited for the supervisor to call me on Friday, and the first thing the supervisor said was, okay, well, let's get on the phone with Wells Fargo and we'll see if they can verify that you have control of that bank account. I'm like, well, I've done that twice. And they're like, well, no, I don't see that in the notes here. And they went through every step I'd already been through. And now they have me sending in new documentation that wasn't requested the first 2 times. And so we are 40 days in, and my faith in the Capital One ecosystem is waning on a daily basis.
Yeah, I would imagine walking into a branch probably not that much more helpful. Or have you done it, thought about it? As a
I haven't thought about Wagon Branch. I will say a mutual friend of ours who has connections over there has offered to reach out, and I think that's probably my next step. I'll let you
I
know
think
what
after
we're doing.
40 days, it's time. I think you
Yeah.
call in the favor.
Yeah, I think yeah. I don't like doing that stuff. I like to be treated like a normal customer, but yes, I think after 40 days, it is time to
Yeah.
time to call in a favor to say, can somebody please just open the common sense bucket and call me back.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
All right, well, let's talk Hilton, man, because it's a special time at Hilton right now, especially so because it's a program that I would say, for, most of the last few years has really slid into my second place on the list of hotel loyalty programs. You and I have talked about Accor Live Limitless. I think they're, certainly obviously more focused outside the U.S., and Hilton is a more global program in terms of, very useful in the U.S. in certain places. But this latest change was pretty brutal. So back in April or May of this year, they hiked the prices at some of their most prestigious resorts up to a cap of I think 200,000 points per night for a regular room. Which, just to be clear, to give people perspective, the most expensive room at a Hyatt property, a regular base room, is 40,000 points. So pretty big gap there. But just a few months later, they've now expanded that to 250,000 points per night for a regular room. So far, this is, at least in the blogosphere, we've only seen this referred to in, call it a couple dozen properties, and they're all high-end properties. But man, I mean, 250,000 points per night. So a 5-day vacation at some of these top properties would set you back a cool 1,000,000 points after your 5th night free, Mr. Kerr. Are you in?
I have one thing I did not have a chance to look at before recording today was if the other more regular property prices have been affected, or if this was just simply something they had to do to protect their top tier, top 20, 30 properties around the world.
I looked at some normal properties that you and I might otherwise patronize, and they generally look the same. It looks like so far it's stuff that was over 100,000 that increased.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think the properties I saw called out in the blogosphere have been the same properties that the blogosphere has focused on staying at for, again, I think we talked about this a few months ago when it was up, and maybe that added attention from the blogosphere to all of these properties. The reimbursement rates for these are pretty complicated formulas that they have.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is some ownerships got upset at the number of free rooms they were giving away and trying to figure out a way to up that reimbursement rate per night that they were giving these rooms away for. Since, one of the positive things about Hilton is if there's a room available, you can book it with points. Now, it's not going to be at the base price, but it's going to be, quite a few points higher than that. It's tough, man. Hilton has been doing a lot to give away a lot of points for a long time now, right? We've talked about how easy it is to get a lot of Hilton points, but
not as much lately, though. I mean, the last couple Hilton promos have been way more sedate. You used to be able to count on double points pretty much nonstop. There is no double point promo now. There wasn't one this summer, if I remember correctly. So it could just be a blip, but the last few months, the promos have not been as good.
My intuition is that they realize that they might have a bit of an inflation problem over there in McLean and trying to strap it down a little bit. I just have not played in the Hilton ecosystem very much for a long time now. I keep about 450,000 points as a stash, and just in case I need a Hampton Inn on the road somewhere, or happen to go somewhere where there's just not a Hyatt footprint, or anything worthwhile with the Marriott. But I think for the folks who are saving up for some of these aspirational properties, that can be pretty tough to have to pay that many points. And from a business side, maybe a clever way to just discourage redemptions at these properties by the program, versus having to create blackout, dates and stuff like this that other programs do, or some opaque things. But yeah, man, that is a lot of points. I think when a sign-up bonus for one of your co-brand cards won't get you a single free night at some of your most aspirational properties, that's a tough value prop there.
Well, and won't get close for sure. I looked, by the way, the market that I pulled was Orlando, and I just re-pulled it so I could familiarize myself with it. But some of these rates I wouldn't call necessarily horrible. Waldorf, I picked Columbus Day weekend. Waldorf Astoria, located Bonnet Creek, 100,000 points per night. Some of the Hilton Vacation Club properties outside of the Disney parks, like Kissimmee and a little further away, 120,000. I see another one here for 90,000. Another Grand Vacations property for 100,000. Those might be like 2-bedroom units. But then as you get up into like the properties that are in between like Universal and Disney on I-4, sort of your smattering, 50,000 points up to 70, 80,000 points. I would say that's a pretty normal range for Hilton in Orlando on a holiday weekend. So like there's still value there. I mean, some of those rooms probably aren't great rooms, but 50,000 Hilton points for a room in Orlando on a holiday weekend. I mean, I still think there's value there.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see, since this change was so fast after the other 3 months, what the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months lies in store for Hilton. One of the things I was looking at for the big 4-0 next year was using Hilton points to get a couple of nights.
You're turning 40?
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, I'm just getting old up there. Yeah.
Wow.
Was looking at the Evermore Resort and getting a couple of nights at one of those swanky houses on Hilton points. And I,
Never
thought
mind.
for a while, I think we maybe chatted about this, if I put all my eggs in the Hilton basket over the next 6 months, I can probably score one of those rooms or one of those houses, for a free night, which would save quite a bit of chunk of change.
That was before you moved to New York.
It was before I moved to New York, so losing a lot of those hotel nights, which I'm perfectly okay with, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Really nice being here in my bedroom rather than in another Hyatt hotel room. Once again in New York, I'm just not sure I would do that now, because if it's going to be a moving target, then it's going to be tough to say, hey, I'm making a goal for something that's a year away, and when you got a moving goalpost on you. So still think there's a lot of value in that program. I know a lot of people go all in and can earn a whole lot of Hilton points with co-brand cards and different things. And there's some amazing things like free night certificates that people should continue to invest in. But yeah, man, it's tough to see those prices.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, I did pull up Evermore. So like the older villa, I think these are the older villas. These are the ones that were closer to the pool. 150,000 points gets you a 2-bedroom villa. Like, I mean, that's, I don't think that's a bad deal. I don't know how many that sleeps, because you might also have a pull-out sofa there along with, the 2 bedrooms. But like once you get into the bigger rooms, like a 5-story tower flat. How many rooms is this? Sleeps 11. So the room sleeps 11, 400,000 points a night. And then, there's obviously the 7-bedroom houses. Those are only 1 million points a night. So,
yeah.
But I would just say, I understand this might be blasphemous in the blog world. I think the pricing is absurd for some of these, properties at 250,000 points a night. But I think the reality is that, as you well know, the vast majority of people out there are not redeeming their points at those properties. The vast majority of people are looking for a great way to get away for a vacation, family vacation away with husband or wife, all that stuff. So,
or literally a weekend travel ballroom, I think is like,
So all this stuff. So like if there are still 50,000 point rooms at, in Orlando for Columbus Day weekend, I still feel like Hilton's offering a reasonable value. I don't love that they've done this at the top end, but I mean, I'm willing to take this trade-off to keep the rest of the program valuable, because the chances I redeem even 600,000 points at the Waldorf Maldives was pretty much zero anyway.
Yeah, the $750 per person mandatory seaplane transfer tends to throw me off of those.
Yeah.
And I've been to the Maldives once, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm here to say, if I never go again, that'll be fine with me.
I'll check it off. I'll check it off the list at some point.
Yeah.
All right, 2 quick hits to get out of here. First is dynamic pricing coming to a casino near you in Las Vegas. I'll link to this article in the show notes. So you definitely liked this one. I found this the other night because we've been trying to figure out, what to charge for things like bottled water and stuff like that at the new restaurant on the Strip. And I came across this article where the hotels, not necessarily like Walgreens and CVS or places like that, but the hotels are charging dynamic pricing for things in the sundry shops, including bottled water. People are seeing prices fluctuate on water and beer and stuff like that as much as $2 or $3 from day to day. And the quotes in the article are, the employees in the restaurants, in the sundry shops, don't know these deals are, these prices are changing. It's all happening algorithmically behind the scenes, and they're just as surprised when they scan something as the customer is, which creates a pretty interesting dynamic.
Yeah, when I was in the Bellagio the other day, look, we talked about it. I just cannot stay hydrated in Vegas, and no, it's not because I'm not drinking a ton, man. I drink so much less than I used to. It's just because it's just high out there. And when I'm paying $8 for a Gatorade, you go into the shops, there's no price list anywhere. And when you ask the person at the counter how much something is, all they can do is ring it up because they don't know either. But I did not know. When I read this article that you sent over, I was like, holy moly, like this is next level. Like, how do we really... Are you hungover and thirsty on a Saturday morning? That bottle of water's, I think they said $2.50 or $2 more expensive than it was on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
Like, talk about just the ultimate, like, this is such a Vegas. Like, as soon as I read it, I was like, this is so Vegas. Like, this is so
Yeah.
just like, how do we get every single last dollar out of people? And to dynamic pricing for a bottle of water, that is just like capitalism gone awry right there. I mean, like,
Yeah.
geez,
Yeah.
man,
And
it's rough.
I'm not sure you can like draw a straight line from dynamic bottled water pricing to people not returning to Vegas, but I think you can draw a dotted line around some of the expenses of certain things. And, look, I mean, guilty as charged, based on how high our rent is, we charge more on the strip for certain things than maybe we would charge in a suburban neighborhood, but our rent isn't 10 times higher than a normal Five Guys. It's 20 times higher. And, I mean, to some degree, we have to find a way to be profitable or we'll be out of business. It's a tough,
Things should absolutely expect to cost more in a place like Vegas than if you're in, suburban Georgia at a,
yeah.
I think it's just like, same with airports, right? It's just like, why do they do it? Because they can. And if they wouldn't do it if people didn't pay for it. But, that's the whole thing is, oh man, somebody's going in there like me on a business expense account, dehydrated to heck, and I'll pay $8 for Gatorade because I don't have 45 minutes to walk across the street to Walgreens. So it is what it is.
That's what they're counting on. I mean, like if you look at my credit card charges in Vegas, you'll see a lot of Walgreens charges. I mean, not just because I like my bill points, but because, if I hit one in the suburbs, I can pick up a couple 6-packs of water for the price of a bottle in the casino. And I don't usually have time to go to a Target because they're a little bit harder to find. But I mean, like a 6-pack of Arrowhead is effectively the price of a bottle of water at the casino. So it works just fine.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, let's wrap up with the Thompson in Miami. And this is a little bit of a nerdy subject just because I really wanted the backstory here. But the Thompson Miami, the Thompson brand was a brand that Hyatt purchased. They purchased the one Thompson brand, rolled it out to a handful of properties, some international. And the Thompson Miami was something I think a lot of us were looking forward to as a really nice addition in that market, alongside some other, fun properties that have been added in South Florida. Very close to opening, and they apparently are no longer associated with Hyatt. And like the interesting thing is like with properties, I mean, Thompson a little bit less than like maybe like a Hyatt Regency or something like that. But when properties decide to align with the flag, they do a number of things that the brand requires in terms of, the room set and stuff like that. And I mean, some of those are standard for any hotel room, but others are, to some degree brand specific, that they've designed the hotel in a certain way. And it just, I mean, I'm sure they can find a flag for it, whether it's something like a Kimpton or something like that, like another boutique-y style hotel brand. But this is kind of weird.
Yeah. Super weird to be this close and then suddenly see, what you care to hypothesize what could have possibly happened? I mean, there had to be a variety of contracts in place.
There had to be.
Like,
absolutely.
To get out, a month before the potential opening. Now it's not going to open apparently, but was it that distribution just wasn't anywhere near where they thought it was going to be with the help from Hyatt selling rooms? Was it like complete disagreement on brand standards? Like, wow, man, like and then the statement from Hyatt here, I'll just, read it here just because it's very matter of fact. Thompson Miami Beach was not yet opened, is no longer affiliated with Thompson Hotel brand or Hyatt. At this time, we do not have information regarding the hotel owner's plans for the hotel, including whether or when the hotel will open or its brand affiliation. Like, we don't know. We're out. Got nothing for you. Like,
and that to me sound like, put this way, if it wasn't their decision, Hyatt's decision, then they have done a really good job with the press release, because it sure makes it sound like this owner didn't do what they needed to do, and so we dropped them. That fair?
Yeah, it's something really wild there. It'll be really interesting to see what happens with this hotel now. I'm meant to go see who owns it, which ownership group, or this not a cheap project in Miami Beach,
no
whatsoever. So
no.
Yeah, man. I wonder what that dispute is. Maybe we'll get a anonymous Reddit post on this where somebody will come out and tell us what happened. That would be super interesting.
Yes, that would be great to understand. I would love. Like, this is one of those love to be a fly on the wall with something like this for sure. All right. Well, is this going to be another week where we're going to record next week and you're still not going to have gotten on an airplane?
Yeah, that is very true. This will be the last week where I am grounded. We've got the big skiff conference here in New York City by the time we're listening to this.
Right.
But the week after that, I may be up in the air again. Mrs. Kerr will be up in the air. She's got an awesome trip to Europe, solo style.
Nice.
So just me and the kids holding it down here in the city.
Very nice. Very nice. I like it. There's an upcoming event that maybe we'll cross paths at. We'll talk about that offline. So,
I don't say. Well, a little breaking news here. I was just reading 1 Mile at a Time Lucky's article about the Thompson, Miami, and the first comment. Let's go see if this is true. Thompson, Atlanta, a website reads, important notification, effective 12:01 a.m. October 1st of this year, Thompson, Atlanta will transition to a hotel brand outside of the Hyatt portfolio. So, well, Thompson's leaving the Hyatt brand. We're going to have to pull this up here and see if that's, I'll tell you what, man, that's a new property as well.
Yeah. And those are, I mean, like they're not like Thompson's are hotels that you want to stay at. They're nice properties. Traditionally in urban markets. I mean, there's a few that are, I think there's a Cabo one, but like typically urbans. Yeah.
I'm just pulling it up here real quick while everybody's like, I'm leaving the show, but don't let me see if I can get into this hotel website here to see what's going on. The Hyatt website is not playing nice for me right now. Oh, come on. Just do a search. Are you kidding me? You gotta be kidding me here. Jeremiah's gonna have to.
No, don't edit. Yeah, just make him look like an idiot, please, Jeremiah.
No, the Hyatt website is literally just spinning. It's just nothing's happening. Okay. I guess it's not working. Or like everything, man. Have you just like we've talked about, I think several times, like Google Chrome just sometimes just doesn't work. Like I find myself having to go to Safari now because it just will do this.
This is why that was why it was never my primary browser. I was more of a Firefox guy just because most stuff worked there. I know a lot of people don't like Firefox, which I'm not quite sure why, or maybe they just prefer Chrome. Like Chrome for plugins is great, but for about the past 3 months, I can't log into the United website on Chrome anymore. When I log in, it shows me going through the sign-in process, and then I'm immediately logged out. And I've reset all my Chrome settings. I uninstalled it from my computer, and I still find the same problem.
Yeah, here it is. I pulled it up. The Thompson, Atlanta Buckhead important hotel notification. Same thing, effective 12:01 a.m. October 1st. So 3 weeks from now, Thompson, Atlanta Buckhead will transition to a hotel brand outside of the Hyatt portfolio and is expected to honor all paid reservations. Guests with questions regarding stays at the hotel October 1st and beyond, and World of Hyatt members with reservations for award nights should call this number. That doesn't mean it's going to be honored. I think you might be out of luck there.
And you know what's weird? And you know what's weird to me about that is that they're not saying who the next brand is going to be. There's like, if you were going to make a switch like that, you generally speaking know what flag you're jumping to.
This hotel cannot be more than 2 years old. Like I remember when they opened it up and they had a big, like it is not. This is, I don't know what's going on to the Thompson brand, man. Interesting. There you go.
Weird. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to pin it. Hopefully you and I will cross paths. Well, we'll definitely cross paths in a month and in Disneyland. Well, not definitely, but highly likely that I will see you in a month, Mr. Kerr.
Sounds great. Looking forward to it.
Enjoy your next few weeks, mostly in New York. I've got, not much in the way of travel. I've been to this like really hot place in the middle of the desert, Las Vegas, and then going home to pretend I live in Virginia. So
nice.
Nothing super exciting on the radar for the next few weeks until I see you in California. So until we upload again, Mr. Kerr, we've got miles to go.
Hold my gigantic microphone stand.
Check, please.